everyone, and welcome to the Optimus Fantasy Football Dynasty Show here for our second stream of the season to really get into what is going on in the Dynasty market. Of course, we're all really wrapped up in redraft. We're setting lineups. We're making trades, waiver wire claims. Of course, that is very important this time of year, but keeping those dynasty rosters is just keeping them clean. That is just as important. It can be tough this time of year to remember to do it. That's why we're here to remind you to check in on these values. Things are changing every single week, and reacting to these markets in real time will help you in the long run, especially Lou, like if you're rebuilding a team. And there are massive shifts in player value right now. If you had listened to a lot of us maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and we were telling you, go get Mason Taylor. This kid is about to start seeing massive volume. We're watching the uptick. Well, now, we're going to get to him later, but it might be a little bit too late. But there are other guys that we're watching, and we'll talk about them in this show, who are starting to kind of build momentum. And these are guys you want to be targeting right now if you're needing a position, if you've got the space, if you've got the picks to move. So let's go ahead, guys, and get into it with the quarterbacks rising and falling. I'm going to give you my first one. This guy, just J.J. McCarthy, okay? We didn't see him play last season. We get a very small sample size of him this season, and it was bad. It was really bad. Besides one quarter, Evan, I dropped him. I had him at QB 11 when the season started. I have him back down to QB 17 right now. How do you feel about where I have him in my rankings as opposed to where you have him in yours? Do you think this is appropriate to be downgrading him right now?
Yes, and that's relatively where I have McCarthy as well, in that range. I'm not offended by QB 17 at all. I actually have him at QB 19. I'm even lower on him than other people as well. But I also did the same thing to Drake May, just because he's going to have limited options based off of just the receiving game being a work in progress. Now that they got Mike Vrabel coaching the New England Patriots and having to rebuild this Patriots team with hopefully respectable receiving options in the future beyond Hunter Henry. Stephon Diggs is only going to last for so much longer. So I've got guys like J.J. McCarthy and Drake May sitting below guys like Baker Mayfield, Justin Fields, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff. I know that some of these guys are in their 30s, but they still offer more dynasty value compared to these younger quarterbacks until they can prove that they're going to have more overall dynasty value when their teams give them weapons and help them develop into solid NFL starting quarterbacks. And I know that might make some people unhappy with me doing that, but they still need to do more in the NFL. They still need to put in 2 years, 2 full seasons in order to show that what they can really do. There's been plenty of players at running back, wide receiver, and tight end who need 2 seasons too. Quentin Johnston being one of them, but I don't want to move on to another position too soon. But no, the answer is no. I don't think that having J.J. McCarthy at QB 17 is bad. I have him at 19. Being injured, unfortunately, does not help. So we'll just see what McCarthy does when he gets healthy.
Yep. Lou, how do you feel about this with McCarthy? Do you think maybe there's a chance I'm a little bit too low on him? Could he rebound? Could he look better when he comes back from whatever injury this is that he suffered? I mean, he has a really good team around him, to Evan's point, a quarterback surrounded with talent.
Yeah, I think where you have him is fine. I've got him in the same tier. I do have him a little higher, QB 14. Most of that is just because with my dynasty rankings, I took a little bit of a longer term view with it than I think you guys did. I understand why you have guys like Evan, you have Justin Fields a bit higher. I don't. I have him considerably lower, mostly because, like, yes, you're going to get production out of him this year, but he's going to consistently be in that, is he going to be in the quarterback next year thing, because he's great for fantasy and you watch him actually play the quarterback position and it leaves so much to be desired. So just certain disconnects like that. And I don't think there's a problem with that either, because different teams have different needs. Like your team might value that right now, the next year, 18 months, a lot more than I do on my team. So there's no wrong answers here. But with that said, I do have JJ McCarthy at QB 14. Part of the reason is because nothing that he's shown us so far isn't what we expected coming in. Like, we knew he was raw. We knew he needed time on task. Kind of like, everybody's favorite, punching bag, Anthony Richardson here, who needs time on task to get the nuances of the position down. Coming from that severe rushing offense at Michigan where he was just never asked to throw the ball. So it makes sense that, he has these kind of scary games to start off, even in a team and situation as friendly as Minnesota is right now. Do I believe in him as much as others? No, I don't. I have Drake May significantly higher because we have seen flashes, at least, if nothing else, from him. And McCarthy, we need to see more. So, I think anywhere in that kind of, I've got 2 tiers above him there's like the truly elite quarterbacks, the kind of next up, your Baker Mayfields, those types of guys that you're like, okay, I know they're not on the elite level, but I'm still very happy with these guys as my QB. And then there's kind of a big tier after that. And I've got McCarthy squarely in the middle of it.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. And I do think there's a chance he rebounds, but I'm going to be honest. My ranking for him, I look at quarterbacks a lot more long-term than I think Evan does. I think than most people do, because if you look at quarterback success windows, they can run for 16, 17 seasons. You're getting these guys who, the way the position is working now, you do one of 2 things. Either you're a solid pocket passer who is completely immobile and you work your offense around that, a la Joe Burrow, or you get the really hyper-mobile quarterback guys like Kyler Murray, where they're not necessarily a throwing asset, but they do become a rushing asset, both to their offense, but also in fantasy. I'm looking at a guy like J.J. McCarthy, and I don't see – he's not a guy who's going to have long-term rushing upside. I worry that he struggled so early and so hard after a season sitting behind, say what you want about Sam Darnold, but he's a professional quarterback, and he's in the Kevin O'Connell system. And Kevin O'Connell's supposed to be very, very good with quarterbacks. He was supposed to make and he's supposed to make J.J. McCarthy very, very good. And you put him in an offense with Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, and Justin Jefferson, and T.J. Hawkinson in a pretty good defense. And he still looked that shaky for all but 1 quarter and then got himself hurt. And it also worries me that got himself hurt. We don't really know what's going on. And there's been a lot of chatter that this was a good way to bench him without embarrassing him. Keep the kid's pride intact. Moving forward, he'll be better. Very minimal chatter. Or that they're overstating the seriousness of the injury to keep him on the bench.
Can I weigh in what I think about this?
Yeah, go for it.
I think this is the GM's decision, and he doesn't want to look bad in front of the ownership benching the first round number 10 overall draft pick. So they had to come up with something so that the owner doesn't get pissed off and does something like get the GM fired. I think this was a job cover your ass type of situation.
Well, and I think there is something. I think he's hurt. I do. I just think that if they really wanted to get him back in sooner rather than later, they could, but they're not going to. And I'm okay with that. And I do think that he could develop into kind of like a middle-of-the-road quarterback too, which is where I have him ranked. I don't think J.J. McCarthy's ever going to be a quarterback 1. I don't think an offense can be centered around him in that way where he's going to have enough volume and there isn't the rushing upside. And
how do we safely... Sorry to cut you off, Nate. How do we safely say that when he's basically in his first NFL season, because he didn't play at all in his rookie year? So he's in his first rookie season where I was just saying earlier, some quarterbacks need 2 seasons to get good. How do we know this is all McCarthy can do?
We don't. And that's part of this is you believe that maybe he can get a lot better. I think that he's like I said, middle of the road QB2, which is fine. He's someone that in Dynasty and 2 QB leagues, he's definitely going to be startable down the road. I just think that's his ceiling, and that's where I'm ranking him. I don't ever think he really creeps higher than that for me. Lou?
So let me ask you something, because I know how much you, Nate, especially, you love Baker Mayfield. You love, his moxie, all that, his grit, everything like that. The difference between Baker Mayfield coming out and J.J. McCarthy coming out, obviously – Mayfield was in a hyper-productive, that Oklahoma offense that was wide open, everything like that. McCarthy was not. So there's that difference. But obviously, Maker had his fall from grace and everything, and his time on the Rams, which apparently 6 people altogether remember. He was even on the Rams.
I remember.
I do too, but I've spoken to literally half a dozen people over the last week that had completely forgotten. His time on the Rams, his time on the Panthers, that sort of thing. And obviously now he's found an awesome home in Tampa Bay, and we all love it, right? I see McCarthy having a lot of the same kind of mental makeup as Baker Mayfield does. So what is that separation for you that says, okay, Baker Mayfield can do this with what I view as inferior physical tools compared to McCarthy, and McCarthy cannot?
So I always thought Baker could be this quarterback. Coming out of college, I didn't like him. I thought he was kind of a prick. I'm an old school Big 8 guy. I grew up with the Big 8, and Oklahoma was a school I hated growing. I still do. If I see Boomer Sooner, it makes me want to puke. But
So helmet scouting, got it.
Right. No. But that said, I always loved the talent. I didn't like the school he came from. I thought he was kind of a prick, but I always really liked the talent. And I thought he got mishandled, very, very, very mishandled in Cleveland. He had the guy had to live through the Hugh Jackson era, right? How bad? So that's the difference. Is the talent was always there for me. The situation was terrible. JJ McCarthy doesn't have that excuse. He's got a really good situation, and he should have, at least in my opinion, if this kid had a chance to be a top-tier quarterback in the NFL his first 2 games, we would have at least seen some level of competence. What he showed was the game was moving too fast for him. He couldn't keep up. He couldn't read defenses. And at a point where you've sat behind a guy for a year and you've watched these defenses develop, you've been in the film rooms, you've been studying, you've been at practices, you've been watching the flow of the game to your game 1, okay, fine. It happens. First start jitters, but you get to game 2 and the problem persists. When you've been studying this for over a year, at a certain point, if that's going to affect you, if the game's too big for you in game 2 and you won a national championship at Michigan, and this is going to be a problem, then I don't know what to tell you. It's kind of like how I feel about Trevor Lawrence, where he was really good in college and the skill set's there, but the mindset's not. And I think that's the issue for me with Trevor Lawrence is you can tell that his field awareness and his game awareness aren't 100%. Like, yeah, they beat Kansas City on Monday night, Lou. But I think what stuck out to me the most about that game.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Let me let you finish that point before I ask.
Trevor Lawrence takes that dumb delay a game with like 45 seconds left when they're trying to win the game. And it's those kinds of things where it just tells me like, okay, you're never going to click over to that next level. You're just not capable. Mentally, you can't do it because you have to be on a different level than everyone else. And guys like JJ McCarthy, Trevor Lawrence, the elite, supposedly supposed to be these elite quarterbacks, mentally, they're just never going to get there.
So my question about that. So we see Trevor Lawrence carry his team to an upset victory over a Kansas City Chiefs team that still has remnants of Super Bowl written on them, but I don't believe they can do it in the AFC anymore. No. Does Liam Cohen save Trevor Lawrence's career?
Maybe. He could, maybe. Here's it. Okay.
I guess it depends on what you mean by save his career. Like, can he be a career Andy Dalton type that just is a starter for way too long, more like for 5 years longer than anybody thinks he should be, because it's just, are you actually getting better by moving on from him sort of thing? Yeah.
Well, so
do I think he could be a top 5 quarterback in the AFC? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No, I'm not thinking that high either. I'm thinking like QB 14, like on the level of like a Dak Prescott. Can he reach Dak Prescott level at his peak?
No,
absolutely not.
I don't believe he can.
Absolutely not.
I know everyone's favorite thing to say this week is Jacksonville's 4-1. Yeah, remember how good the Saints were the first part of last season? Remember that Pittsburgh team with Chase Claypool that was like undefeated through 13 games and then they lost every game the rest of the way? Like teams can end up looking good on paper because they get a string of these really fortuitous matchups. Like Jacksonville ran into a pretty reeling Chiefs team that is having a hard time figuring out their identity. Their defense isn't great. Their offense has absolutely no flow or rhythm to it without Rashee Rice. So yeah, it's not all that surprising that Jacksonville was able to win that game. It doesn't make them a good team. They might not win another game the rest of the season. We don't know. Their division's a lot tougher than we thought it was going to be.
I got to give credit to the Jacksonville defense, though. They did get better. They're not great, but they got a lot better than last year.
Well, their defense is a part of why they're winning games, too. It's not Trevor Lawrence. And in
spite of Trevor Lawrence.
In spite of Trevor Lawrence, he tripped twice. Pulling away from center.
To be fair, though, his offensive lineman did step on him. It happens.
Yeah, get your feet out of the way.
Yes.
Get your feet out of the way.
Sure.
You're an NFL quarterback. How many times did Tom Brady get stepped on?
Tom Brady would get stepped on and then just lie there because he's Tom Brady, and anyhow, that's a whole other conversation. Okay, so my big thing with the difference I see between Trevor Lawrence, JJ McCarthy, and I'm going to bring another name into here, and it's Josh Allen. Part of this is because I'm obviously a Bills fan. I obviously was very emotionally invested in the drafting and development of Josh Allen all along the way. And I'm not saying McCarthy is Josh Allen in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that. However, Josh Allen at the beginning of his career had to go through a period of time where he had to figure out what he could and could not do on an NFL field, where he could do kind of whatever he wanted in college because, first of all, it's Wyoming and who cares? Yeah. And kind of in a relatively similar situation because he wasn't allowed to do anything at Michigan. So he's really got to go through this process of figuring out what he can and cannot literally do on an NFL field with NFL athletes. There was a great piece written by Deion Dawkins, of all people, believe it or not. He's a fantastic orator, by the way, about they could see Josh Allen like mentally taking pictures of like, okay, I'm going to try this. Nope, can't do that again. But what if I try it this way and that way? And they could literally see him going through those mental reps. If McCarthy's doing those sorts of things, which we honestly have no idea if he is or not at this point, like we have no way of knowing that. That's different to me from Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is a dude that he's in his second contract now, which sure, good luck with that. He is who he is at this point. We know who he is. And it's not great, but it's fine, I guess, if you're into beige wallpaper. But we don't know.
Don't be knocking beige. It's a safe color.
It is a safe color. It's those millennial gray. It's whatever. And all I'm saying is that I am interested to see what McCarthy does and how McCarthy grows, if he grows, because he might not. And I'm willing to bet a little bit stronger on him now because we don't have the length of information on his career yet that we have on a Trevor Lawrence.
So, fun fact, I just wanted to look this up. Trevor Lawrence's contract, oh boy, they still owe him roughly $140 million.
Oh, yeah.
Good job, Khan family.
Oh, yeah. That's just options. So, they overpaid for a very mid quarterback. The Josh Allen thing is interesting, Lou, because, we've seen quarterbacks do that where it's like there were a lot of people who had a lot of questions about Josh Allen coming into the league. I was not one of them. I was not at all. I was pissed when Denver did not draft him. I wanted Denver to get Josh Allen so bad because he reminded me so much of everything that Jay Cutler wasn't but could have been when he came to Denver. Because Jay Cutler was Exactly. And that's the thing, is that we all thought Jay Cutler was going to come in here and be a John Elway, big arm, brash attitude, but he didn't have that it. But you could tell that Allen did. Like, you just feel it. There was something about his pre-draft interviews, and you're watching some of his stuff at Wyoming. You're like, no, dude, this kid has it. And while it might not develop immediately, and it didn't, you could see the work. You could tell that he was working on getting there, and something would happen. A coach would figure it out. He'd find the right scheme, something, and it did. I don't feel that way about McCarthy. How I feel about J.J. McCarthy is more Josh Rosen than Josh Allen, I guess, would be the best way to put it. And I know that's bleak.
It's harsh, but it's fair.
Josh Rosen was the second overall pick. He's not even in the league. I don't even think he's on a practice squad at this point.
He's retired.
He can because he's got mom and dad's money. But which makes, he should be out of the league. All right, well, guys, let's move on to running backs because that just got depressing in a hurry. We're going to get even more depressing, and then we'll get better. But I want to talk about this one, guys. Caleb Johnson. In my rankings, I had him at RB16 starting the season. I had a lot of hope that he was going to quickly take over this backfield. Did not account for how absolutely dominant Jaylen Warren would be and how much this team loves him. Also did not account for whatever he did to get himself in the doghouse to start the season and then further that doghouseness with a lack of ball security. I dropped him down to running back 28. Evan, are you on board with me dropping him that far? How have you treated Caleb Johnson in your rankings this season?
Being that Caleb Johnson very badly needs to develop in the NFL, I actually have him at RB 54 for Dynasty PPR. I have him plummeted just below Blake Corum. And the reason I have him that low is because there are plenty of other running backs that are going to give you more current Dynasty value below like Tyler Algier, Tyrone Tracy, Tyjae Spears. I have those three in the 40s. I had to drop Caleb Johnson because not only did he have fumbling problems, not only did he stink at being a kickoff and punt returner, he just needs to sit in this system and learn how to be an NFL running back. And that is going to happen. It's not over for Caleb Johnson, but he's a guy that he's not going to leave your taxi squad for quite a while. And you have to hope that he pans out, because otherwise that rookie contract ain't getting renewed if he's not cut before then, if the Steelers decide to part ways. So, yeah, Caleb Johnson is sitting at RB54 in my Dynasty rankings until further notice.
That's probably fair. I have a little bit more hope for Caleb moving forward. Lou, how do you feel about Caleb? Are you more on Evan's side of this or mine?
Probably closer to Evan. I've got him at RB37 right now. And it's more about the tier for me. He's in that. I mean, it's a pretty big tier, but he's in that tier with Trey Benson and Blake Corum and kind of all these. We think they're good backups that should take over the job at some point eventually. Maybe, we hope. That's what Caleb Johnson is now. And it sucks if you drafted Caleb Johnson in the first round this year thinking you were going to get a starter by week 6, because obviously that's not happening. And it's tough. Like I do believe in him, in his running back talent. Does he have the work ethic and the drive and the humility to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, which feels weird to say about the Pittsburgh Steelers, but we know they're different about wide receivers than they are about running backs or anybody else on the team. It's, that's just kind of a strange situation. Yeah. So does he have that mentality and that makeup? And we don't know. I like to think so. But as you know, Nate, and as we've talked about before on this show, we know that Mike Tomlin will banish guys to the shadow realm like Roman Wilson. Has anybody heard from this dude in 2 years?
I was just going to bring up Roman Wilson because we really don't know what happened. He just one day, he just kind of disappeared. I saw him on a DraftKings slate last weekend. I think it was like $1,500, but we don't know. And that does worry me about Caleb Johnson, but this feels different because he's a running back, and I think it's the ball security stuff, and we know Tomlin doesn't like that, and it really, especially with running backs, it really pisses him off. We saw Najee get benched for a full game because he fumbled a couple times a couple seasons ago. So I think there's a chance that we see more Caleb Johnson as we get closer to like the back half of the season, like maybe week 10, week 11, week 12, somewhere around in there. And if he comes out and plays well in those opportunities, then I probably feel good about where I have him ranked. If he doesn't, then I probably feel really dumb for where I have him ranked. So I'm kind of betting on that, I suppose.
You know what's funny about Najee Harris? Tomlin must have scared him straight about fumbling, because Najee Harris right now is one of the best 1,000-yard rushing running backs who has very minimal fumbles at all in his career. He's excellent with ball security. And so Tomlin must have really scared him straight about a certain way that maybe, I don't remember how he fumbled, whether he got the ball punched out or whatever, but he is one of the, if I needed a running back where ball security is all I care about, I want to give the ball to Najee Harris.
Yeah, well, that's what Tomlin does to guys. Yeah. So maybe see Caleb Johnson. He's going to be super secure and it's going to be great. And we're all going to love it. Now here's something more positive. Bill Krosky Merritt. I've got him up from RB46 to RB26, guys. Lou, how do you feel about that? Do you think this is for real in Washington? Because it appears like he actually is becoming the guy, at least for now.
So I've still got him at running back 52 for now. He's still a part of that big tier. And so much of that is I simply do not trust Washington's running backs right now. Like, we've thought this was a settled situation before. I mean, even last year, we had Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson there. And yeah, I mean, they were not great, that sort of thing. But we thought we had it figured out. We thought we've had it figured out already at least once this season. Okay, yeah. Bill Krosky Merritt, he's broken out. He's taken the reins. And then the next week, we see Chris Rodriguez and Jeremy McNichols each get a third of the snaps. I don't claim to know what the Washington coaches are thinking. I'm sure they feel they have very good reasons, and that's fine. It's clear to me that he's the best asset there right now and the best option in that backfield. I don't feel confident spending, like, if I don't have him on my team, I don't feel confident going out and spending the kind of capital that I would need to in order to get him on my team. We see all the time these 7th round running backs get replaced the very next year.
Yeah. That's a fair point. I mean, look at Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, he's fading out after 1.5 seasons, basically. I don't know, man. This feels different to me. I think it's partially because of the team, because of the coach, because it's Dan Quinn. Maybe I'm a little high on him, but again, I was really low on him heading into the season. I was out. I thought it was dumb. I didn't understand it. Then I really saw him be a part of this offense, and it kind of changed how I felt about it. Evan, how do you feel about good old Bill? Are you more on my side of this, or are you still kind of back? It's maybe not going to work because he's a later round prospect.
I'm a lot closer to you in my rankings than I am to Lou. I was blown away by Lou having him at RB52 right now, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, Lou's got some pretty good points about this because the way that the Washington Commanders run the football is never going to be a sure thing. It's never going to be stable. You could have a one-year wonder who fades away after a season and then they replace him with somebody else that they sign in the 7th round of next year's draft or whatever. They've been running a platoon style running back by committee. They definitely want to get other running backs involved between Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez with no more Austin Eckler. Not that Eckler was doing a good job in the twilight of his career anyway. It was tragic how he ruptured his Achilles, but I have Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, or as I should be calling him, Bill, which, I mean, I guess if he wants to be called Bill, I'll do it. I have him at RB34 in Dynasty. So I'm a lot closer to you, Nate. I have him below Javonte Williams and above Isaiah Pacheco. I haven't updated my Dynasty rankings in 2 weeks, and there's a few of these running backs that I definitely want to change around soon, but JCM is definitely in the range where I feel he fits best right now. RB34 is what I feel he belongs. He's not having a renaissance. I mean, he can't have a renaissance year. He's a rookie, but he's got less value and more to prove before I'm willing to put him as high as you have.
Look, his name's Bill. He can have whatever kind of year he wants, whenever the hell he wants to have it, if he's going to go by Bill. If this wants to be his renaissance year, so be it. I want to talk about Woody Marks real quick, guys, because there were a lot of people that maybe saw this coming more than I did. Do you think this is sustainable, Lou? Are you looking at Woody Marks as a guy who he's going to be the guy in Houston and long term, like next 2, 3, 4, whatever the lifespan of a running back is as he gets into it? Are you looking at him as a long-term ad, as someone who's going to maintain this value where he's going to be a guy that you want as maybe an RB2?
Short answer is no. The longer answer is that coming out of college and everything, Woody Marks is a pass-catching only running back. He can do a little bit on the ground because, most pass-catching running backs can. I look at him as a James White type, where if he's your RB3, he might surprise you and give you an RB1 week here or there. He's most of the time going to live in that RB2/3 range, right around flex value. and that's fine. But to expect him to take over that running back, that backfield, no, absolutely not. The Houston Texans, Nick Caserio has even come out and said, I think it was today, maybe yesterday, I don't know, been my head down a rabbit hole, that he is their pass catching running back, which makes a ton of sense because that's what he does well and not what Nick Chubb does well. I would expect as that backfield evolves over the next year or so, obviously Nick Chubb is not a long-term answer, that we're going to see someone to complement that in him. I think he will have decent weeks, like I said, that live in that RB2-3 range, and once in a while have RB1 spike weeks, which is fine and great and very useful for a dynasty roster. Not someone that you want to go out and pay these big premiums to get on your team.
Evan, if you were looking to acquire a running back, what would you be willing to sell away for Bill Krosky-Merritt?
For Bill Krosky-Merritt, where I have him ranked at the moment, I think he is at least worth a late second round pick tops. I think that's about as high as I'd go to get if I'm willing. If the shareholder is willing to part ways with JCM for one draft pick, I want to go a late second at the highest. I think the potential is going to put him there as far as a dynasty price goes. If you're looking to buy a draft pick, spend a draft pick, but at the same time, he, like I said earlier, he still has a lot yet to prove in the NFL that the Commanders are going to be using him as more than just a platoon back the way they did with Brian Robinson Jr. So I think that's where I'm sitting right now as far as JCM's value goes.
Okay, now you're going to wonder why I asked you that when we're talking about Woody Marks, because I want to know now, more or less for Woody Marks?
So, like I said earlier, I have not updated my running back rankings in 2 weeks because currently I have Woody Marks at RB61, and I don't feel that way anymore. I want to be moving him up in somewhere in the 40s. I need to sit with it and think about that some more. Woody Marks, like Lou was just getting at, it came out that the Houston Texans still view him as a passing down back. He's going to need some time in the NFL, especially behind that horrible Texans offensive line, to develop as an NFL running back and to hopefully do more than just be a solid set of hands, similar to like Austin Eckler or like a James White, like what Lou already said. This is not the Woody Marks year to take over this backfield. He's going to be sitting behind experienced bruisers like Nick Chubb and maybe Joe Mixon. Is he coming back? Do we know? So, no. Woody Marks, I spent a 4th round draft pick on him in my Dynasty League, and I think that's the value he's going to be sitting at for right now. I'm sure there'll be some people willing to pay a 3rd for him, but I think he's going to need at least a year or two to get in to possibly take over that backfield if he ever does. Woody Marks being a 24-year-old rookie out of USC, I know we say age is just a number in Dynasty, but when you're an older running back, father time is not on your side. Older guys don't tend to last longer as running backs, and I don't know at this point, we don't think we have enough information if Marks can take over that backfield. So, do I think he will? I'd say there's probably a close to 60% chance that could happen.
I think I'm with you on that, Evan. Now, Lou, Quinshon Judkins, I noticed he moved way up in your rankings. He moved way up in a lot of people's rankings once we were able to kind of get back to it with the season starting. He moved way up in mine as well. However, I thought I was high on Quinshon Judkins. You've got him at RB4 right now. I love it, but let's talk about this. So, I'm guessing that you're looking what this offense is. They're rolling out Dylan Gabriel, thinking about long-term plan. Do you feel like this is for the next foreseeable future, I guess, Quinshon Judkins is the center of this Cleveland offense?
I mean, at least for his rookie contract, and I fully expect him to get a second contract from Cleveland because, I mean, how many people out there are saying it? I mean, I feel like I'm parroting them, but dang it, I had this thought first that the Browns managed to go from Nick Chubb to Nick Chubb in Quinshon Judkins. I think they're going to treat him almost the exact same way, only Judkins has better hands in the passing game and can actually be a little functional in a passing offense coming out of the backfield. I don't need to really see anything more from him. I don't see any reason, aside from injury, that he wouldn't be the centerpiece of the Cleveland offense for as long as you can have a running back do that. Obviously, there is still a possible suspension looming, which could scare people off and depress the price for him at some point, or even now. But I think if you can pay anything less than top tier running back prices for Quinshon Judkins, you do that. And you do that as soon as you possibly can, because that price is only going to continue to go up as more and more people realize that this is a stud running back in a perfect situation for him.
Is there a world, Evan, where you could see maybe like 2 years down the line where our RB1 and RB2 in Dynasty are Amari and Hampton and Quinshon Judkins?
Well, let's not forget about Ashton Genty as well. Those three, I think, could possibly be a 1, 2, 3, like three or 4 years down the road. I could see those guys being 1, 2, 3. This was an amazing running back class we had this year, and as long as these teams do not ruin them with injuries or just improperly developing them, I think we are seeing these guys be the new faces of the running backs in today's NFL. Or the future of the NFL, I should say. So right now, I have Quinshon Judkins as my RB10 overall. I do not want to lower him at this time because, as we were talking about a possible suspension looming, right now we don't have any evidence to support that could be a real possibility. And if that's the case, then I would think about lowering him in my rankings. But with the talent that we've seen, the career highs that he already set in London against the Vikings, against a really beat-up Vikings defense that's not performing as well as they should be, yeah, Judkins is a stud. He was my rookie RB2, and I think his value is now being accurately reflected as a new member of the Cleveland Browns, now that everything got acquitted for him, as much as I really don't want to get into that because that stuff makes me angry. But so I have Ashton Genty at RB4, and I have Judkins at 10. Omarion Hampton, I actually have at RB11. And I think that is going to change a bit soon. Like I said, I haven't updated these in 2 weeks, so I have to rethink about this stuff.
Well, my thing with Omarion Hampton is, again, it's just the situation is so freaking good. He's got a really good coaching staff that knows how to take care of guys, too. So I don't think he's a guy who's going to get run into the ground. And I do worry about that with Judkins a little. I'm afraid this Stefanski regime, however long they have control of this team and this offense, they might run him into the ground. But Judkins is a guy I feel like can take that volume, at least for like 3 or 4 seasons. And it's kind of what you want with a
running back.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
When it comes down to it, that's what you want. That's what you hope for.
Yep, exactly. Let's pop over to wide receivers now. This one's a little less volatile, I suppose. The first
Hold on one second, though, Nate.
Oh, yes.
Shall we get to some questions first?
Sure, why not? Let's toss up some questions here. We got a couple of quick redraft questions here, guys. Galaxy pickers, we got this first one. Do I start Worthy or Kenneth Walker in my flex this week? Lou, which one are you going for?
Well, as Nate, as you know, I've been deep in projections tweaking over the last couple of days, so this is right up my alley. I've got Kenneth Walker this week. Worthy is he's not a centerpiece of the Kansas City offense. It's like Nate was saying earlier in the show. This Kansas City offense just really doesn't know what it is and how it actually wants to operate without Rashee Rice. And we know Kenneth Walker is going to get touches. We know he's explosive, and we know that Seattle offense is kind of humming right now. So I don't see a reason to really go away from him for someone like a Worthy.
Yeah, I agree. I see you shaking your head, Evan. You agree as well?
For right now, yes, because in my flex rankings for PPR leagues, Galaxy pickers, I'm assuming this is PPR, I have Xavier Worthy at 31 and Walker at 43, but Worthy has been missing practices this week, and it remains to be seen if he's going to be healthy enough to play. So until we learn more about Worthy, I think you should plan on starting Walker in that flex spot.
Yeah, I would start Walker as well. Just so you all know how low I am on Xavier Worthy, I've got him at wide receiver 30 in my dynasty rankings. I am 10 spots lower than consensus on Worthy. So, but that's neither here nor there. That was not a dynasty question. We'll get to this last one here, and we'll get over to the wide receivers. This is Shirley over on YouTube in a 10-person Superflex league. Would you rather have Bo Nix in the late 2026 first or Kyler Murray and Tet McMillan? Evan, let's start with you.
Getting back Kyler Murray sounds like a terrible deal. I would rather have Bo Nix long-term than Kyler Murray. Getting Tet McMillan sounds sweet, though. That's a great guy to get. But I don't know, Shirley, if this offer is currently on the table and whether or not you have to accept or if you're thinking about sending it. So if it's the latter, I would say don't trade away Bo Nix if you have Bo Nix and keep that first. But if you want to get Tet McMillan, I think we need a little more information here, Shirley, because I'm not exactly sure what to tell you here, but it's not as simple as which side would you rather have, because there's so many nuances to it. But I'll gladly get Tet McMillan on my team if I can. But in the meantime, Kyler Murray, I don't like him at all. I'd much rather have Bo Nix in a dynasty setting.
Yep. Lou, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, similar. I feel like I ran through all of Evan's range of emotions on that one, just like he did. Whereas, like, okay, but Ted, yeah. So, and that's kind of where I'm left with it. Where I really don't want to be taking on Kyler. So if I can swap him out for not anything else, because you are giving up significant assets between Bo Nix and the late 26 first. Love the idea of getting Tet back, but I would try to get someone that's not Kyler, unless you absolutely have to have him for some reason, like you're his aunt or something. But that's kind of where I am with it, where I like it overall. I would like to tweak it a little bit. Ideally, I think if it's this or nothing, I probably pass and just try to work on something else. But as a starting point, I do like it. I just think you can do better. I want better for you. Put on dad.
Well, yeah. If it's this or nothing else, I wouldn't do this. I like Bo Nix too much. You're not getting enough in return. The quarterback swap is not equal to me at all, not even remotely. If you think you can make this deal and flip Kyler for more to another team, I'm okay with it. Or if you have someone other than Bo Nix, you could possibly toss in there and then ask, just don't stay away from Kyler Murray. That's all. If Kyler Murray, if there was someone other than Kyler Murray, yeah, it's a really good life lesson, guys. Stay away from Kyler Murray. All right, we're going to stay away from further muddying up this question. We're going to move on to dynasty wide receivers. I want to bring up my boy Emeka Egbuka over in Tampa Bay. He's risen quickly. It is very clear that he is an elite level wide receiver in this league, and he's in the right situation as well. Evan, I have Emeka Egbuka at wide receiver 9 in Dynasty. Am I too high on him right now?
No, you are absolutely not too high on Egbuka. He has proven himself. Don't look at my Dynasty wide receiver rankings right now because they are not accurate, because I have Egbuka at 25. That is absolutely not where he belongs anymore. He has shown that he can take over this Tampa Bay wide receiver room with an aging Mike Evans and a Godwin that is also aging but can't stay healthy to save his life. So Egbuka absolutely is a top 10 wide receiver in Dynasty for years to come. Now, that being said, I have a lot of guys that I want to keep in the top 10 that I'm going to have a hard time saying, is Egbuka ready to be top 10 compared to guys like Malik Neighbors, Nico Collins, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba? But I think JSN is probably the guy to bump out of that 10 spot and put Egbuka up there, because I don't think he's shown everything that he's capable of showing, whether or not he could be the next Mike Evans, or can he do better than he's already doing right now in this Todd Bowles system with Baker Mayfield throwing him the football. But he's definitely worth the first round capital that the Buccaneers spent on him. They clearly want him to be the future, and I definitely want to put him in my top 10 rankings as well.
Yeah, I might have him top 5 by the end of the season. We'll see how this all goes. I mean, if he keeps racking up the yards and these catches and just the way that Baker and this offense uses him, if Godwin continues to linger, play mid, he looks hurt, he looks slow, and if Mike Evans takes longer to get back and this really does become Egbuka's offense, I think there's an argument he's a top 5 receiver. Lou, you're looking at me like I'm freaking crazy. Tell me why I'm wrong.
No, I'm I'm trying to stifle coughs. That's why I'm making those faces. Wide receiver 5 is tough for me, and it's not because of Egbuka, but it's because of who the wide receivers are in front of him. I mean, this is Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is CeeDee Lamb. This is Justin Jefferson. This is, Jamar Chase. This is Puka Nacua. That means I have to bump one of those 5 guys out to put Egbuka in. And this isn't even touching on the Rome Odunze, the Malik Neighbors, who I still have above him. So this is not a knock in any way, shape, or form against Egbuka. It's just this is what especially the top of the wide receiver position is right now. Some phenomenal guys that you can have where, I mean, I've got Egbuka as my wide receiver 10. And I mean, that's, coming in behind Jackson Smith-Njigba and Drake London and ahead of Nico Collins and Garrett Wilson. I mean, who of these guys would you not feel great about having as your wide receiver 1 on your team? Nobody. I don't see any problem with any of them, to be perfectly honest with you. And if you have him, 5 for me feels too rich, but I genuinely think any point 6, 7 through like 15-ish, just because of, again, the high quality of wide receivers that are there, I think they're all kind of valid, and it's fine.
Yeah, you're going to crap on me over one spot. I see how it is, Lou.
I'm not crapping. No, I'm behind you by 1.
I know. Now, speaking of Rome Odunze, well, actually, the person that I would take out of that top 10 to top 12 wide receiver 1 tier is Drake London. I don't like the situation. The talent's there. I've got him at wide receiver 14. So he's like right on the fringe there for me. But if they commit to Penix long term, that's bad news for Drake London. It's bad news for everybody in that offense, in my opinion, because no amount of production with Penix is sustainable. He's going to continue to be streaky. He's going to have good games. He's going to have really, really bad games. If they don't commit to Penix moving forward, then who the hell's the quarterback? There's no guarantee it's anyone who can feed
Kirk
Drake
Cousins.
London.
What do you mean?
Well, this year. Evan, go ahead.
I'm looking at my wide receiver rankings right now, and I think I need to be more like Lou and start thinking of these in tiers, because I'm focused too much on the numbers, and I'm looking at all these wide receivers who are clearly talented and all deserve to be in the same tier, because A.J. Brown, I have at wide receiver 14 right now. He's not a 14th talented wide receiver. He is an elite wide receiver that's being horribly misused by Nick Sirianni. So this is a guy that is clearly talented, but I can't keep him below as low as I have him. I mean, maybe you guys disagree with me. Maybe he is a top 20 wide receiver, but I think I got to start thinking in tiers. I don't think I agree that he's like 14th and that's exactly where he belongs.
I have him at wide receiver 16.
I have him at wide receiver 14. He's kind of bringing up the last of that tier for me.
Well, and look, he's an elite receiver who's probably nearing the back end of his career. Right? He's getting up there as far as wide receivers go. He's approaching 30. He's in an offense that is slowing down, throwing the ball. Sirianni's going to continue to lean into running the ball. A.J. Brown's seeing limited volume.
I mean, who knows what Nick Sirianni's going to do in any given week? That's the thing, right?
I know, but that's the thing. Wide receiver 16 isn't bad. Neither is wide receiver 14. I don't think that's egregious for A.J. Brown, especially in a long-term window. I mean, yeah, he's a guy that you're trying to acquire. He's a guy you're going to start every week. You're going to take the lows with the highs. It's just the way that it goes. But as far as
him on like the Rams just to see what would happen, just for science, just see what would happen
right now. Could you? Oh
please.
My God, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, and AJ Brown. That would be disgusting. Like beautiful.
I mean, it could be just AJ Brown, and I think it would be just fantasy greatness.
Yeah, his stock would immediately rise up if he became a member of the Sean McVay system easily. But I also just had a moment in which I'm looking at A.J. Brown being 28 years old, and I feel like my life flashed before my eyes for a second, because I still remember drafting him in an old Dynasty league his rookie year. I didn't get the running back I wanted, so I settled on A.J. Brown as a member of the Tennessee Titans. And the guy was a stud immediately. It's insane that the Titans traded this guy. What the hell were they thinking?
They're the Titans.
Yeah. There's a reason
Why did
they got to draft first overall last year. That's
Yeah.
big part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, why did the Cowboys trade Micah Parsons? Because Jerry Jones is still alive. And that is the literal answer. Every time the Cowboys do something stupid and people ask me about it, I will say the same thing. It's because Jerry Jones is still alive.
Can I laugh about something real quick?
Yeah.
The Green Bay Packers, from a 10,000-foot view, fleeced the Dallas Cowboys with that Micah Parsons trade. And they played against each other, and it ended in a tie. The Packers couldn't even beat the Cowboys after all that.
Oh, man.
You're absolutely right.
No, you are absolutely right.
Suck it,
All
Packers fans.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to move on to tight ends. Then we're going to get people on their merry way so they can get ready for Thursday Night Football. I have DFS lineups to set, and I have food to cook. Woo! I can't wait. You got to do something to entertain yourselves through this Philly-New York game, because otherwise it's just going to be hard to watch. I know, but I'm going to watch it anyway. Kid loves Jackson Dart and Saquon Barkley. So there we go. All right, tight ends. The biggest riser here, guys, there's two guys that I think really rise-wise as far as tight ends go. Mason Taylor and Tucker Kraft are just skyrocketing up rankings. We've seen Tucker Kraft go all the way up to tight end 4. That's where he's sitting in consensus on Fantasy Pros and Dynasty as well. I had him at tight end 10, or I had him at tight end 14, I'm sorry. Quite a jump for a guy that we weren't sure about. Evan, this major jump in the rankings for Tucker Kraft. Yes, he's seen a ton of volume in an offense that doesn't really have a wide receiver. It's good volume, it's productive volume, it's touchdown volume. But is this long-term moving him up to tight end 4? Do you think this is a trend that continues? Because moving him up to tight end 4 says, do you think for the next at least 2 seasons he's going to be an elite level tight end? Do you think that's the case with Kraft?
I don't believe Tucker Kraft is the most athletic, talented tight end of all time, but the way the Green Bay Packers use him is similar to how the Buffalo Bills use Dalton Kincaid. They clearly want to put the focal point of that offense around Tucker Kraft. Maybe Lou will have something to say to disagree with me on that, but I actually have Tucker Kraft at tight end 3. So right now, I have him above Tyler Warren, which I may change my mind on pretty soon. But again, this is also why I want to start looking at these in tiers, because Tucker Kraft and Tyler Warren absolutely both belong in the same tier. Tucker Kraft is still the focal point of that Packers offense. They refuse to have a wide receiver 1. They just want to get the ball in whoever's hands are wide open. Matthew Golden was a clear Christian Watson replacement. He's never going to be some stud wide receiver that's going to be like a top 10 wide receiver for years to come. Yeah. This Packers offense is weird, and I love how it's detrimental at times to them. I mean, sorry, but my Packers hatred is going to get in there. But yeah, this is the Tucker Kraft offense. He's going to be a top 5 tight end by default. I have him at tight end 3. I don't think that's changing for a while when I get a chance to redo my tight end rankings.
Lou, I see you've got Tucker Kraft at 4 as well. So I feel like you're kind of feeling the same way about this. This is deserved. This rise in the rankings is deserved, and it is sustainable.
This is a yes and for me. Yes, I feel it's deserved. And I feel only the top 2 tight ends are actually elite assets and should be treated as such. Anything beyond those 2, which Bowers and McBride, just to be very clear about that. Yeah, right. But anyone beyond them, we've seen, I mean, even this year, no tight end 1 has repeated week to week. Not Tucker Kraft, not Tyler, nobody. And this is kind of what we see. Evan's comment about Tucker Kraft and Dalton Kincaid being so similar, it made me laugh because I don't think I'd ever thought of it in those terms. And he's exactly right. More so than he may even realize. And yes, both offenses like to spread the ball around. Dalton Kincaid runs so few routes compared to his contemporaries. He's like 23rd among tight ends this year, which that's ridiculous in its own right. But Tucker Kraft kind of does the same thing where, yes, he's the leading pass catcher for the Packers, and he still gets pulled off the field and doesn't run routes a lot more than it feels like he should be, just because that's the way the Packers run their offense. So we're going to see things like this where athletically and how he produces when targeted, yeah, he is that guy that belongs at tight end 4 in the rankings. And there's a very, very good reason that he's a full tier below those truly elite options. So do I think he's going to be this guy for the next couple of years? Yeah, I do. And he's still significantly behind the true difference makers.
Well, and that's a fair way to put it, because the thing, tight end, this will never change. It's such a not low value. It's not deep. There's no depth at the position when it comes to fantasy. When you get outside of the top like 20 tight ends, and you start to lose all relevance because teams don't use tight ends the way that we wish they would use tight ends. Why can't everybody be Travis Kelce? Come on.
Tight ends
are
are
Jeremy Shockey.
Jeremy Shockey, Jimmy Graham. Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah.
Antonio Gates.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Gonzalez.
I don't know if any of you watching this show right now have seen us before, but I do the tight end rankings every week for our weekly rankings, or the weekly article that we post on optimusfantasy.com. Way up there on the opposite side of me on this screen. Check that out after the show. I cover the tight ends every week, and I realize that, yes, it's a disrespected position because people just don't value tight ends, especially not in DFS, where people just will play any ordinary $2,500 tight end in your DraftKings lineups just because, well, tight ends don't get the ball that much, and maybe this guy will hit, and it doesn't matter that much. But I'm always going to disagree with that. It absolutely matters, because there are still some solid pass catcher tight ends that, like Lou just pointed out, don't repeat week to week, and that just comes with the nature of the game. There's got a lot of young quarterbacks right now that want to get the ball in the hands of their tight ends because they run up the middle, they might slant, they might curl, they might run a route that's in the center of the field that the young quarterback might feel secure with getting right there in the hands. The tight end might not be the first read for that quarterback, but he's always a solid second read if they can just get open, if the defense allows it. So every year, the top 10 tight ends average, well, 9 or 10, usually average about 10 fantasy points per game or more. And if you care about averages like that, that's how scarce big value out of the tight end position is, and therefore that's why a lot of people disrespect the position. I still love the points because they don't come easy for tight ends, and you got to think of it in a larger perspective where playing the tight end does matter, because that could be the difference between a win and a loss.
Well, you guys know, I love tight ends. It's one of my favorite positions in all of football. I love the grit of the position, but I also love grading him in fantasy because it is difficult. But when you find that like weekly one in the rough, it's incredible. I feel like that's what Tucker Kraft is in Dynasty right now. Nobody had any idea that he was going to become like it was cool last year. We saw him get a lot of volume. It's like, oh, neat. This is fun. Okay, see you later, Robert Tonyan. But then it turns out he's not Robert Tonyan, who, funny enough, we found out plays for the Chiefs. I had no idea.
I didn't know either.
Yeah,
kind of knew, but I'd also forgotten.
Yeah, and that's and that's what I feel like Tucker Kraft is. Now, another one I want to talk about before we get out of here, guys. Mason Taylor, New York Jets, son of famed Dancing with the Stars hero and Hall of Famer Jason Taylor. Also played for the Miami Dolphins. It's neither here nor there. But Mason Taylor's taken a jump. It looks like he's going to become a very big part of this New York Jets offense. He's seeing a ton of volume. He saw, I think it was 13 targets last week from Justin Fields. He's skyrocketing in people's rankings as well. I moved him all the way up to tight end 14, which, given this is a guy who really is just, he's a rookie and he wasn't one of the vaunted ones. Is this for real, Lou? Is this Mason Taylor breakout for real? Is this someone that we need to be paying attention to? And is this move up to around that tight end 14, 12 range warranted for Mason Taylor?
I mean, in a word, yes, I think it is. I've got him at tight end 16, but I mean, it's very much in that fringe tight end 1 territory. My big thing with Taylor and really all the New York Jets is we don't know what they're going to do at quarterback long term. Like, Justin Fields is fine for now. I mean, well, that depends on what you define as fine. But Justin Fields is for now. We don't know what that's going to be a year, 2 years from now. Like, is it going to be
Right.
Caleb Williams coming in to replace him? Is it going to be Josh Rosen coming in to replace him? And leagues difference between those two, just to be clear, for anyone who doubts how I feel about Caleb Williams. So it's a little difficult for me to just jump right on the bandwagon. Like, I've got guys like Dalton Kincaid ranked significantly higher than him, even though Kincaid doesn't get the volume necessarily that we want. We know Josh Allen's going to be his quarterback. We know that Buffalo he's going to continue to thrive in Buffalo, everything like this. It's tough to say that anything is going to thrive in New York at this point, because, I mean, we kind of had some hope that, Aaron Glenn would bring some good, happy vibes from the Lions, and kind of looked like they might be on their way early in the year. And holy cow, have those wheels fallen off fast.
Yeah, real bad.
So, like, yeah, I don't mind a low value bet on him. Like, if you can go out and spend a second round pick on him, especially if you're kind of wandering that tight end wasteland, I don't have a problem with it. Like, you do what you got to do to address your team needs. And I'm also not having a Mason Taylor isn't preventing me from going out and still improving at the position to a Tucker Kraft, a Tyler Warren, even a Colston Loveland, or especially one of those elite couple of tight ends there.
Evan, is Mason Taylor someone you're interested in acquiring in Dynasty right now? Do you think he's worth a bet that maybe this remains a thing?
Most definitely. But right now, I think a lot of people that are shareholders of Mason Taylor are going to be overvaluing him. They're going to want like a high first-round draft pick just because of the recent big games he's had as Justin Fields' second read in this offense. So Mason Taylor is doing best case scenario for what I expected him to do. I had him as my tight end 3 in my rookie rankings behind Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. So Colston Loveland is going to need some years to develop in this new Ben Johnson offense, just like how a lot of the offense for the Bears is still getting acquainted with the Ben Johnson system. It's going to take a little while. But that being said, Mason Taylor provides the immediate value just because, well, who in the hell else is going to be catching the football for the New York Jets? Yeah. Was Josh Reynolds going to be the wide receiver 2 that was going to matter? No. Is it Alan Lazard? No. Is it Malachi Corley? Who the heck is that anymore? Who cares about Malachi Corley? But anyway.
Cleveland now.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I didn't even remember that. But anyway, back to more important topics. Mason Taylor, everybody. I have him currently at tight end 20, and I don't think I'm going to be keeping him there anymore. I am really, really considering putting him in my top 10, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that at this time. But he's absolutely a high-end tight end 2 until further notice. So until we see more from this winless Jets team, who's still getting the ball in the hands of Mason Taylor, I still need more information. So I'm not ready to move him any higher than the teens.
Jamie, thank you for the compliment, saying I should catch footballs for the Jets as their wide receiver 2. I am old and brittle. Like,
so are they.
Catch me across the middle once. Oh, I will break every freaking bone in my body. But guys, now that we've wrapped up with the tight ends, something that won't break every bone in your body, our tools over on OptimusFantasy.com. And it's fall, guys, so we have a special deal going on right now to unlock your Sundays, 25% off your first 4 months. Promo code OptimusFall. We've got some really rad betting tools that are really accurate and very good at telling you how you should roll out on Sunday. Check out that page, tools.optimusfantasy.com. Look for the betting optimizer tool right there on the dashboard. Again, 25% off your first 4 months with the promo code OptimusFall. And with that
betting tool is really slick, man. It's really cool. Like, I don't know anything about betting, and the fact that I can go in there and just look up like, oh yeah, okay, so this is a good one. No, I want to stay away from this. If there's players I want to like bet on, that sort of thing, or like, like tonight, I can just look up the props for different players in the game. It is so cool. The fact that we get to offer this now, I think is just the raddest thing.
Oh man, no, I'm thrilled with it. And betting's become such a big part of this. And it's such a fun way to just, even if you like, I'll tell you what my big thing is, man. I like to go throw like $2 on a game, and I'll pick like maybe 6 bets, throw like a quarter to like 50 cents on them, and see what happens. Like you can do like a 50-cent parlay, pick some of the bets you like from the platform, stack them together on your favorite platform, and that's the best part. It compares 11 platforms, so you can make sure you're getting your best bet across all of the major ones, guys. Make sure to check that out again one more time. The code is Optimus Fall, 25% off your first 4 months of our premium subscription. And if you sign up for Gold Jacket, you get all of it and everything that we add through the end of 2025. That's going to do it for us. Sorry about the shameless promo, but not sorry even a little bit. If you've got questions, you're listening to the audio version or you're rewatching us on YouTube and you can't ask us live right now, head over to Discord. The link is in the show description right below us, our voices or our faces. Check out Discord. We've got everything you need: DFS advice, NFL bets, start, sit, waiver wire, and just general NFL conversations. So make sure you check that out. Lou's there all the time. So is Evan. I do my best. Discord confuses me because I'm freaking old. But what can you do? All right, folks, we'll get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the game tonight if you can. I'm Nate Polvogt for Evan Sather and Lou Brunson. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next time.